I was introduced to crisis communication during my days managing public relations for a theme park. And what I remember most was one of my first events involved a tightrope walker who was going to walk from the roof of Hershey Park Arena to the top of the Kissing Tower, while I sat at the top holding press releases announcing his death. That's preparation.
My introduction to crisis communications was in the form of a little-known storm called Katrina. During Hurricane Katrina, I was a newspaper publisher, and the town didn't think the storm was coming. And so for the first several days, I must have been Chicken Little running up and down the streets screaming, "The sky is falling, the sky is falling." And it really did appear that way until the day the sky actually fell. Crisis communications is planning for the worst, knowing that the worst won't happen.
Well, I think the key to crisis communication, first of all, is transparency. And a lot of the marketing tools that are currently available allow inherently for that transparency, meaning that instead of waiting until 6 o'clock to have a news conference, you can now post information critical to your audience immediately on your website. You can tweet it. You can get it up on Facebook very, very quickly. But to do that, you've got to have a plan in place now, before that crisis occurs, so that you know who is going to do what, when, and how, and who the key players are, and frankly, who is allowed to speak for your company.
That's all very important. It's especially important to have it all done ahead of time, because when a crisis occurs, you don't know if that crisis is somebody's late for work, or if there's a tornado, or if there's an explosion, or any number of things that can go wrong. It's the nature of a crisis, is you just don't know. And so having your plan of attack in place, and it can range from knowing where people will rally when the building's on fire, through knowing when to release information and whom should do the releasing.
And one of our biggest clients actually keeps what we call a dark website available at all times. If in fact there is a crisis at one of their plants, they have a dark web page, a page that only goes live in the event of a crisis. It literally replaces their home page with what we call the dark site. And the dark site is something that is easily modified to be able to say, here's what's happened, here's what the next steps are, here's what you need to do, and here's what you need to know.
In the modern age, with social media, crisis communication has actually gotten easier, because it's so easy now to post Facebook updates or to tweet emergency information. Because crisis communication isn't always just about getting the message out to your customers. A lot of times crisis communication is about getting the message out to your employees and their families. They're all important. They all need to know what's going on. They all need to be on the same playbook.